Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel for what I thought would be a fun video. Just going over a handful of things that only Battlefront 2 players who have been around from the very beginning will remember, and this video is really going to put stress on from the very beginning. I do plan on making a follow-up to this covering some things that came later, but everything featured in this video is true Battlefront 2 veteran material. I'm talking the Dark Ages, aka the very long year between launch and the first Clone Wars update, back when I was making some absolute crap for content. Before we get into things though, I do want to quickly mention that today's video is sponsored by Audible. Stick around to the end of the video to hear more. Okay, I want to quickly say that this video was a nice stroll down memory lane while we wait for some actual Star Wars gaming news. Most of what's included today I hadn't thought about in years because most of these things were a horrible nightmare that I'd shoved into the deepest recesses of my mind. Speaking of horrible nightmares that I'd shoved into the deepest recesses of my mind, let's talk about the first of 5 things only Battlefront 2 vets will remember. The very first being the explosive shot glitch. This glitch that I'm about to describe was added to the game via the DICE Special, aka a new patch that was supposed to fix things that actually ended up breaking them worse than they were before. I'm sure most of you know this, but explosive shot is a blaster attachment in Battlefront 2. I feel like the function is self-explanatory. It makes your shots explosive, giving you some nice splash damage, so you don't really have to aim particularly well if you just want to damage enemies. The drawback is that it makes your weapon overheat really quickly, and in some cases, it reduces your blaster's rate of fire, so if you want to get a kill, use those limited shots before overheating very wisely. The explosive shot glitch was a cooldown bug that affected all cooldown attachments, but the worst part of it was that it accidentally removed all drawbacks of using explosive shot, aka your weapon could utilize the attachment without reducing the blaster's rate of fire or making the weapon overheat faster. This bug was by far the most obnoxious on the Heavy's DC-15 LE. It was ridiculously broken because Heavies could melt other troopers and even heroes without batting an eye or needing to aim in the slightest, and from what I remember, it took DICE a long time to fix this, meaning modes like Galactic Assault were just filled with 80% of players all using the exact same loadout, which wasn't a fun time. Next, let's talk about launch Boba Fett. If you don't remember, Boba Fett was the poster child of the pay-to-win label that Battlefront 2 was given during its early access period, aka the couple of weeks leading up to the game's launch. The reason for that label was because Boba without star cards versus Boba with 2 very specific purple star cards was ridiculous, because his rocket barrage ability could go from being extremely mediocre to being one of the best abilities in the game, able to easily kill heroes from full health with the touch of a button. The 2 cards that were responsible for this were Intense Barrage, which not only drastically sped up how fast rockets fired, but also increased the number of rockets you would fire from 3 to 8, which more than doubled the damage while also increasing your rate of fire significantly. The other card was Anti-Hero Rockets, which gave the ability a huge damage bonus per rocket, which meant you were getting that bonus 8 times per use of the ability if you also had the other card equipped. It's also worth pointing out that Boba's rockets in the current build of the game are nothing like they were at launch, because his rockets had huge splash damage, meaning you barely had to aim to hit enemies to begin with, so more than double the damage and add a huge bonus for damage on enemy heroes. You can imagine what that was like. Those 2 cards and the ability in general have been nerfed, buffed, reworked, and tweaked so many times that there's really no comparison, and Boba is a good hero with or without star cards these days, but at launch, it was absolutely wild how much better he was if he just used a specific loadout. Sticking to villains, let's talk about Emperor Palpatine and his removal from Battlefront 2. This one is infamous. Palpatine was so broken in the early days of the game, and certain star cards only made his brokenness even more apparent. There was a time when Palpatine could damage enemies through walls and more or less all obstacles. There was no hiding from him, so there was no such thing as cover, and it was just totally busted. This resulted in DICE kill-switching Palpatine. Players could no longer use him, and this lasted for an entire month. From July 4th of 2018 through August 7th of the same year, he was gone, and yeah, it was kind of a big deal when it happened. Next up, let's cover Darth Maul's useless lightsaber throw, which I feel like even some players who played way back when forgot this one. First, I suppose I need to mention the fact that his saber throw used to be vertical. You had to be a lot more accurate with it, but in mid-2019, I believe, they switched his throw to a horizontal one because the community kept begging for that change, which really improved the ability even though I don't think it looks quite as cool. But 2019 is too late for this video. I just wanted to mention that because at least some people would be confused if I didn't address it. What I'm talking about though is the fact that Maul's saber throw straight up did not work for many months. One of the first handful of updates after launch broke it, and they didn't fix it for a long time. It's not that it was a bit buggy or a little inconsistent, it just did not work whatsoever. It would go straight through people 100% of the time, and was totally useless until DICE eventually got around to fixing it. And I'm saying that with huge air quotes if you couldn't tell, because from what I remember, it took several patches before the ability was even kind of reliable. For a long time, it was just an ability you would kind of ignore because relying on it to get you a kill was not wise. Finally, let's talk about OG Chewbacca, and this is something I had not thought about in so long. The Battlefront 2 Iceberg video I did a few weeks ago kind of reminded me of this, and I'm following up on it here. I'm not talking about how good he was at launch or his many nerfs and buffs. No, today it's all about Chewbacca's original appearance, because he looked completely different when the game first came out. He did not look great, and when you consider that under close inspection, Chewbacca looked kind of terrible in Battlefront 2015, I think it's fair to say that people were hoping for a bigger improvement with the sequel, and they did end up getting one pretty quickly. If I remember correctly, his look was changed during the very first update, the Last Jedi themed one, and his current appearance was probably something that was meant to be there from the beginning, but was just pushed back to the first update because, well, it's no secret that Battlefront 2 was rushed out the door for a 2017 launch. Well guys, that is going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed this type of thing and could leave a like, I'd appreciate it. And I'd also like to hear any suggestions for things like this I should include in future videos. Also, I do have a sponsor today. I'd recommend you stick around because you can get some free Star Wars audiobooks. But I did want to quickly address something, because you might be wondering where the news videos are from me, and to keep it real, there really hasn't been much in terms of actual Star Wars gaming news, and I'm just not going to make videos I don't want to make, so you're just not going to see videos from me turning a single tweet or something into a full video, unless it's like a bombshell tweet. It's just not what I want to be doing these days. If there's some real substantial news, I will cover it. I'm opinionated, and you know I'll be all over the next Star Wars game that comes out, but I don't know, I just wanted to mention that so you're not wondering, why isn't he covering this tweet or that tweet? If there's real news, I'll cover it, but I'm not going to cover on and off things like something vague, like new Star Wars game coming for the 50th time. It's just not what I want to be doing. With that said, thank you for watching, and thank you to today's sponsor, Audible, who I've featured on the channel many times, and for good reason. They are the home of the largest audiobook library known to mankind, and I've been using Audible for years at this point. I can honestly say that there has yet to be a single time that Audible's extensive library has let me down, and if you're a Star Wars fan, their selection is especially impressive. I'm just saying now would be the perfect time to check out Kenobi, which deals with the post-Episode 3, pre-Episode 4 Obi-Wan, and is one of the very best Legends novels. If for some reason you haven't already checked Audible out, you can grab yourself a completely free 1-month trial today, which you'll be able to use to choose a free audiobook of your choice, or 2 if you're a Prime member. The trial also grants you access to the Audible Plus catalog, which instantly puts thousands of audiobooks and plenty of other original entertainment at your fingertips. If you would like to sign up for a free trial, just use my link, audible.com/bfnight, or text bfnight to 500-500. Seriously, I can't recommend Audible enough, and if for some reason you have to cancel after your free trial, you even get to keep the audiobooks you've chosen forever. Anyway, check out Audible, thank you once again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.